The better shuttle is... Hey guys, this is JP's LEGO Reviews. Today, I'm going to compare the LEGO Star Wars Kylo Ren's shuttle versus Director Krennic's shuttle. Now, in this comparison, I'm going to compare the displayability of these two sets, both of their realism, the building experiences of both of these sets, the value proposition of both of these sets, the minifigure selection of both of these sets, and finally, how playable are these two sets? So, let's compare it down. Firstly, when it comes to displayability, there is really only one thing I'm looking for, and that is how good are these sets to display. Now, there's one little detail that separates these two, and it's the way that I'm positioning them right now. But the set that is better to display is the Kylo Ren shuttle. The reason why is because the studs are on the outside, meanwhile the backside of the studs are on the inside. Meanwhile, with the Krennic shuttle, it's the other way around. So basically, from more angles, the Kylo Ren shuttle looks better and it looks cleaner. Now, I know the design of these two sets are different, but yet again, even with the wings expanded, Kylo Ren's shuttle is just better to display simply because it's more compact and it's actually easier to display. But now, let's move on to the realism factor of both of these sets. When it comes to the realism of these two sets, the answer is a lot more simpler because it's a tie. The reason why these two are just as realistic as each other is because they both are very realistic ships. Now, the previous Kylo Ren shuttle was quite inaccurate, but this version is a lot more accurate than the last version, and it looks quite a lot better too. Plus, both of these are very accurate because they both fold out correctly. They both have just all the features that were in the ships that you could possibly fit into this sort of scale. And yeah, they just look very similar to their on-screen counterparts. But now, let's move on to the building experience of both of these sets. Now, when it comes to the building experience of these two sets, well, the answer is actually pretty simple, again, and it's a tie. They're both quite similar sets to build, and they both have equally different functions. Now, the Kylo Ren's shuttle has more functionality than, say, the Krennic shuttle, which could put it in its place, but also the Krennic shuttle has more variety of sort of techniques considering it's a smaller set. And between them, there's a lot of different designs and different sort of building experiences you can get with different building techniques. But at the end of the day, they're both similar to build, they're both enjoyable to build, and when you have finished the build, they are both great end products. And wrapping up with this, let's move on to the value proposition of these two sets. Now, when it comes to perhaps the most splitting of these two, the things that splits these two sets the most, which is the value proposition, which set actually has a better value proposition? Well, the Kylo Ren shuttle has a great value proposition. For 180 Australian dollars, you get 6 minifigures and a really sizable ship. But for 140 Australian dollars, you also get 6 minifigures with the Krennic's shuttle. And it's slightly smaller, but it ever so slightly edges it out that the better value set is the Krennic's Imperial shuttle. The reason why is I don't feel like you're getting extra $40 worth of Lego with the Kylo Ren shuttle. And with Krennic's shuttle, compared to the Kylo Ren shuttle, it probably should be maybe an extra $20 to $30 difference. But it's a $40 difference, and that makes a difference, and that explains why Krennic shuttle is a worse value slightly than the Krennic shuttle. But now, let's move on to the minifigure selection of both of these sets. Now, when it comes to the minifigure selection of these two sets, you have to counter the $40 difference. Now, they both come with 6 minifigures, but the $40 difference does kind of come off with K2SO being not really a real minifigure. So, if we're pulling him out of the equation for a second, we have technically 5 good minifigures in the Imperial Shuttle versus 6 good minifigures in the Kylo Ren Shuttle. But because of the minifigure quality, the Kylo Ren's Shuttle has slightly better minifigures. Now, the 6 characters in this set I actually really like. With the exception of the kind of officer, they're all extraordinary minifigures. Meanwhile, with the set with the Krennic's Imperial Shuttle, in my opinion, the Death Troopers and Krennic are the good minifigures. The other 2 don't really do anything for me. So, because of that, the Kylo Ren Shuttle has slightly better minifigures. But now, let's move on to the playability of these sets. Now, when it comes to the playability of these 2 sets, there are 2 main factors that come into play. How light they are to carry, and how easy it is to play with the set one-handed. Now, the Krennic's Imperial Shuttle is a very light set. You can easily hold it with one hand, but it is a bit of a sort of ordeal, if you will, to unfold the wings and also to shoot the spring-loaded shooters. Meanwhile, with the Kylo Ren Shuttle, even though it's a bit chunkier and a bit heavier to hold, you can practically do everything with one hand, from firing the spring-loaded shooters to actually the entire sort of set actually unfolding in itself. You just have to extend the wings up like what I've done now, but if you just hold it in midair, it actually folds out to its correct position. And for that reason, Kylo Ren Shuttle is slightly easier to play with, and also it's thinner too, so you can grab more of it technically with one hand, even though it's a little bit heavier. But now, let's move on to my final thoughts on this comparison. Now, what are my final thoughts on this comparison? Well, both of them are pretty well valued considering what they include, and they both are really good shuttles. LEGO have released other shuttles in the past where I just thought they were terrible, or they weren't detailed enough, or they weren't actually worth my time or my money buying them. But because these 2 shuttles are some of the best that LEGO have ever released, it's really difficult to choose a winner. But because the scores say it all, with slightly more points, with actually 1.5 leaning towards the Kylo Ren Shuttle, the better shuttle is Kylo Ren's Shuttle. Now, this shuttle is just more impressive. It's larger, it has more heft to it, it's better to display, and the minifigure selection is on point. It's one of my favourite minifigure selections of all LEGO sets. I just love the way I love the way each minifigure looks for different reasons. From the officer having that gunmetal grey sort of torso and legs, to the red Sith Trooper, to Kylo Ren and his crazy lightsaber. It's just a perfect minifigure selection for a pretty much almost perfect LEGO set. But which one would I recommend you to buy? Well, the Kylo Ren one is better, so I do recommend you getting that one. And also, it's been kind of retired now for a lot shorter, so it's going to be a lot cheaper than Krennic Shuttle. And yeah, those are my thoughts with the comparison. Let me know what your thoughts are down below on these sets here. Let me know if you have either of them or both of them, and let me know how you think or what you think about it. If you enjoyed the video, please smash the like button. If you want to see more content just like this, please subscribe. I hope you guys have a mighty day and keep building.